But yeah, Niners first player drafted, like we were saying, Shedeur Sanders, 49-1 is a bit of a ways down the list, but I don't think it's fully off the table. And then the Dolphins, like they just have Tua, but if they feel like they can get really desperate, they're 35-1. You have the better odds than the Niners, but I would kind of sneaky put them second in this list of teams from the Saints to the Steelers. So don't necessarily be surprised if we see a strange move. And we've already seen them, be okay with going the younger way. They were going to go Trey Lance over Garoppolo at a certain point. It didn't obviously work out that way, but they were trying to. And maybe they learned from that. Like maybe they, with the talk as well too. Like in that draft, the quarterbacks were really moving up the list. And Fields, if I'm getting everything right from that draft, was the 11th pick in that draft. So he ended up sliding down a little bit. And Mac Jones as well too slid down. So he ended up with Lance and Zach Wilson, of course, bouncing up in that one. If that's all the same draft, if I'm getting it right. But, maybe their over-aggression and maybe them seeing that the board might fall in their favor this year, maybe they're not trying to trade up with the Browns and the Giants for a quarterback. Or the Patriots would be a team that I think would trade back to 11 if another first-round pick was on the table and something else. And, again, is that a lot to give up for a guy that's a wait-and-see? But, hey, it's a quarterback. We know they're important, chat. So, I think maybe them learning that, and then they just go, hey, like in that draft too, we always look back and go, if they didn't trade up, Micah Parsons was in that range. Like there's some really good guys that they could have taken. It just had immediate impact for them trying to make the Super Bowl push the last couple of years. So maybe they learned from that and just gone, hey, if a quarterback falls to us and we feel great about Shedeur, then we'll take him there. Or if Kelvin, if Tankathon's right and Calvin Banks is there, if they want to go defense and defensive backfield or something like that along those lines, then just the ability for them to go best player available and add to the team as well is still a possibility with Purdy on the roster. So I think it's a very similar setup, and I still I love Shedeur in Shanahan's system. And again, I love everybody in Shanahan's system, but I kind of like Shedeur in Shanahan's system a little bit more than Jackson Dart because, again, the thing with Shedeur is, and make no mistake, I will be watching some tape. Probably YouTube highlights. I'll be watching some YouTube highlights probably tonight, and then, over the next couple of days or two, just to be like, okay, am I totally crazy? What am I missing something? Like again, I still feel like this guy can be an NFL starter, and then from there, the upside is, build a team around him. What's the system, obviously, but it does seem like and maybe you could say this for any quarterback, but not really. But if he does make the reads right, like his abilities are good at quarterback. And again, that may be an obvious thing, but like he throws, I think a really accurate passer, which is why I think I was, again, really falling in love with him in some of those college seasons because I feel like a lot of times I do watch it in the mindset of like, how would this guy play in the NFL? But sometimes when you're in that fandom mind as well too, you just are watching him play in the moment. I'm just wanting Shedeur to win these games and just the Buffalo to pull these games out. And it's like, can Shedeur just be clutch? And that's really what we're looking for in these moments. And can he make the drive and, the show your work aspect of the equation that, we're not really worried about. Can we just get the right answer at the end of the day? But if Shanahan was teaching him how to make the reads, and again, you could say this with Jackson Dart, but I think I like Shedeur Sanders' ability in that a little bit more. And you could say whatever you want about the athleticism, like Purdy is kind of a sneaky athlete, but I don't think Shedeur is. And maybe, again, maybe I just don't have an NFL eye and the testing would prove wrong. But I don't know if he's like a negative NFL athlete. He's not – the man's not Peyton Manning. Shout out Peyton Manning. I know he's the go-to comp for non-athletic quarterbacks and quarterbacks that threw a lot of interceptions in their first year. And, also should be the standard bearer for great processing as well too. But, is just – also just happens to be the standard bearer in those couple of things. And I know Brady is – And Manning was mobile in the ways that Brady was mobile too. But Brady was, I think, he got a little bit faster, obviously, over the course of his career. But just he was so slick in the pocket too. It just was a different thing. Manning's ability was more just his quick read, and then his ability, obviously to win the play pre-snap and just. Brady, if he needed a slide in the pocket, he could do it. And Manning, his brilliance was he knew where the blitz was going to be, and he would just have a route designed to get the ball out quick so he wouldn't have to slide in the pocket. was, and again, that was more the Manning as well too that we were watching at the end of that Colts tenure than into that Broncos tenure, and he was moving around a little bit and sliding around doing all that stuff in those early Colts years as well too. But again, I think him in a quick processing system like Shanahan's system is really, really good for him. And that's the thing, like, and him with any good coach. But that's what I think I like about Shedeur compared to just your average, put him in a good system and let's see. It's like when he does make a read and does make a play, I think there's actually a lot of good things there. And that's the same thing with Caleb Williams as well, too, and obviously, his ability to create is what was special as well. But you're like, okay, if you're getting a coach that is and that's, Ben Johnson, we have a lot of upside in what he's able to bring him there. It's like if you can get him a coach that can show him the processing, his ability to make the throws is as good as any quarterback's ability that we ever have. I mean, that's the whole point of taking Anthony Richardson as well, too. But my point is, yes, I could see the concerns with Shedeur on is he going to be able to elevate a bad team if he's there. And, do we have that kind of quarterback in any class? And the ability to project that in the draft, like that's more a thing we get after the draft, where now we look at Mahomes and go, oh, Mahomes could take any franchise to the playoffs. And it's like, well, he is also on the Chiefs. Like, excuse me, Jack. Like, we do have to, as a part of his development and a part of the reason that they're successful now as well, too. But, like, how many quarterbacks do we just go, yeah, this guy's immediately going to turn the franchise around? But still, like, is Cam Ward just, and maybe he is. I'm not writing it off the table, but I'm just saying that's not necessarily what I think would be favored on the betting odds. But yeah, I don't know. Again, I think the Niners are in play for a quarterback here. And I think they're, like I was saying, maybe they don't trade up aggressively that high. But if they do want to get to 7 or 8, 6, maybe, I don't know. I think there's a 7 to 8% chance that they could trade up as well, too. Maybe. So that was definitely one drafting that I was thinking walking around the restaurant. Also because one of the people in the kitchen as well too, shout out, is a Niners fan. So he was like, oh yeah, the draft's coming up, and and he was like mentioning it as well too, Purdy, and I was like, oh yeah, hey, you guys might need to draft a quarterback. I was like, wait a second, what if we could bet that? And then it turned out it was 49-1, which made us like kind of excited for the fact that we could pay rent. The pay rent parlay chat, shout out. But also, and again, I guess if we just go straight up Shedeur to the Niners, 95-1 chat. I mean, we may be able to buy a house. We have to worry about paying rent. Landowners, Shedeur Sanders is going to make us a landowner chat? Hey, yo, whoa, yo, IT, get that out. But, in terms of on this parlay is what we're talking about. But, yeah, the Niners were a team that I was looking at for that as well, too. I mean, I guess there's scenarios that we could play out for all this stuff. Like I was thinking for the Giants, Abdul Carter's kind of locked into this spot, but is Mason Graham off the table for the Giants, chat? What if they want to just go supersize in the Eagles pass rush? I mean, the Eagles definitely had the exterior guys in the edge. I mean, in the year that they lost the Super Bowl, obviously Hassan Reddick played awesome that year. And then in this year that they won the Super Bowl, Sweat was awesome in the Super Bowl. He was awesome all year. Nolan Smith had a great rookie season, and he was awesome in the Super Bowl as well. But, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter in the interior presence of the defensive line, and, like we've seen from Chris Jones for the Chiefs as well, too, Aaron Donald for the Rams, that interior presence, if that is dominant, there's just something about that is maybe not more unstoppable, but just, I don't know, something about that scares me compared to some of the edge stuff as well, too. So I'm just saying, again, I'm not doing a mock draft here. I love Abdul Carter as well, too, so I'm not saying that I wouldn't take Abdul Carter at 3. And defensive line, I think, may be lumped into the same thing for odds. So we may have to go players for this one. And yeah, the Giants are going to have more specific odds than that, I guess. So if we went number 3 overall pick, Sanders is 6-1. Hunter's plus 650. GT 440-1. Mason Graham is just not even a thought, Chad. Mason Graham is 150-1. So I'm saying if you guys are, want to buy a house and a car, Mason Graham to the Giants at 150-1 is definitely the bet. Oh, and I just saw Tyler Slaw's name, and that made me think about something else that I was going to say earlier, was that over-under for quarterbacks in the first round. I kind of want to bet the over as well, too. Like, it could be 2.5, and, is it going to be, like we're saying, the 3-man combo of Ward, Sanders, and Dart? But I kind of think you would have to set the over-under at or did I say 2.5? It would be 2.5 with those 3 guys. But I kind of think you would have to set the over-under at 3.5 and basically debate on whether or not, am I saying it right? Tyler Slaw? It's not Tyler Slaw. I think it's just Tyler Slaw. If I'm not making that up. But I think he kind of might be a first-round pick as well, too. Like I'm saying, Jackson Dart might be a top 20 pick. So if the Browns and the Giants want to trade back up for a quarterback at the end of the first round, then it might have to be Tyler Slaw. And I kind of think that, and Tankathon is saying Jackson Dart to 34. Tankathon, I don't think that that's going to happen. Updated 20 hours ago. Unless Tankathon's got the inside information that we don't know about. So yeah, they're both sitting right at the top of the first round. Could easily jump back in. But, what if things get really crazy, chat? What if we're saying that Cam Ward goes number 1? What if Shedeur ends up going what if all 3 of those guys end up going in the top 15 or top 20, and the top 20 would be to the Broncos? So maybe the Seahawks or the Bucks do steal one of those quarterbacks, or like was it the Giants and the Browns both invest in quarterbacks when we didn't think somebody, would they trade out of the Abdul Carter pick if we're saying one of these teams wants to move up for Carter? Like, would the Niners move up to take Carter at 3? And then now the Giants are back and they're taking a quarterback at 11. Like, whatever. Maybe the quarterbacks just go in the top 15. Like, I honestly wouldn't be surprised about that either. Does Slaw just end up going straight up 21 to the Steelers? And just go, screw it. Like, we just have to take our guy. Maybe they go Milrow or something as well, too. And then, do we get 5 quarterbacks in the first round? I don't think that'll happen. I think that teams will kind of will those guys into being second-round picks. They'll just end up in that spot. But I do kind of think that Slaw might be in the mix for that 25 to 32 range. For, I guess, maybe you're saying 21 to 32 range for a team trading back up in, or the Steelers having to take a guy if they need to. But it does seem like his momentum is growing as well, too. And he might be another guy we have to do the YouTube deep dive in on as well, too. Because you just read this stuff hear people talk about it. It does seem like he checked a lot of boxes. But, I mean, he probably should as well, too. I think he's like 28 years old, so he definitely should be dominating. He should be able to step into the NFL right away and at least be a starter. But, some of these teams, chat, is not, like, bad odds on some of the stuff. Like, the Panthers, it's at number 8. Like, I haven't read all the stuff that maybe I should have if we really wanted to make informed decisions, chat. But just going off vibes, just, what's in the air right now? What are the... Well, the horoscopes, I don't know, for the Ravens now, reading signs to try to figure out where these teams are going to pick. But they're minus 120 to take a defensive lineman. I mean, they definitely need to build that spot on the roster, and that's, of course, premier position. So the spot at 8 with, like we're saying, the guys that were in that top 7 kind of being locked in. But I also think it's interesting if they were to go, like, defensive back. Offensive line as well, too, could be a real possibility. So... linebacker, I guess, if they want to get picky with some of the positional stuff, which is exactly how they're going to screw us bettors here, chat. They're going to just say Jalen Walker was a linebacker, or a defensive edge, I guess, to pay out the minus value instead of the plus 150. It's like, oh, no, we had him listed different. Receiver at number 8, I don't think Tet McMillan goes that high. Tight end, 20 to 1. Does Tyler Warren go number 8 to the Panthers? Probably not. Probably not quite that high. But they have him listed as linebacker and edge, so on Tankathon. So just take your pick, I guess, FanDuel, of which one you want to go with. We mentioned the Saints. The Bears does seem like they want to go weapons sort of around Caleb Williams. Does seem to be sort of the consensus thought right now. And if we pull up the odds, running back, tight end are the top 2. So again, Tyler Warren, I feel like is in the mix, and running back, obviously Ashton Jeanty is in the mix as well, too, for the Bears, which, I mean, both those guys would supercharge their offense. But offensive lineman at plus 380. And to be honest, chat, I do think that this is a really stacked running back class as well, too. I don't know if teams value the second-round guys maybe as, like, full-on second-round guys. Like, maybe it's more of a stacked third and fourth round. But, again, still, like, whatever grade they're getting, that's, like, a really stacked range of guys. So... Not saying that GT is going to fall or anything like that, but if a team like the Bears, if Poles is trying to galaxy brain all this stuff, then maybe he tries to take a running back later in the draft. And, they do have those 2 second-round picks as well, too, 39 and 41. So, I mean, they literally haven't taken Caleb Johnson here in that. I mean, Caleb Johnson, Chad, is a really, really nice running back. I mean, he was, finding the end zone a ton last year, 23 total touchdowns, 1,500 rush yards. Is pretty crazy. Henderson is on the board in this Tankathon mock as well, too, at that point. We'd have to scroll down a little bit more for some more running backs as well. But I guess even if you want to dip into the third round, 72 is like Dylan Sampson. Yeah, Dylan Sampson goes off the board at 81. So I like a lot of the running backs in this class. I think they'll be really productive running backs. And I think maybe it was Danny Kelly again. We'll just aggregate Danny Kelly for this whole time, Chad. It is what it is. But maybe he was saying that he didn't think that there was a lot of guys that could be like 3-down backs. And I get that as well, too, Chad. Like, it's, as much as we love, who are we just shouting out, Chad? Caleb Johnson. As much as we love Caleb Johnson, like, could he step in and be a 3-down back? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if any of these guys did become. So I guess I'm kind of disagreeing with him there. Like, I think that potential is there, even if you're thinking maybe it's a little bit smaller. But like I'm saying, I think this is a really strong, like these running backs, really good, like 2-down, could almost be that 3-down type running back. And that is a lot of backfield as well, too. And, I guess if you have Pat Mahomes, it can work. But maybe lets you give a little leeway with the value you can find in the draft as well, too. So, again, that maybe leaves it up for Tyler Warren at number 10 for the Bears. I guess I was also thinking, what if Warren was on the table for the Cowboys? I know that they have do they still have Schultz under contract? I know he's been kind of like a sneaky fantasy guy, but they're locking in like a receiver or a running back for Dallas as well, too. But if they're just going to go weapon, Warren seems to be one of the more highly rated prospects. Oh, sorry, Jake Ferguson, chat. How could we forget? Isn't he, or was? I don't know what the timeline is. Oh, I guess we don't want to bring that up, chat. He might have done some sketchy stuff in the, I guess, we'll leave it in the past. But there might have been him in a relationship with a Snapchat girl. I'm not sure. But I guess Jake Ferguson is a free agent after this next season. So, if they want to start thinking for the future, maybe they go Tyler Warren with their pick. I don't know what tight end would be for Dallas, because they might be a minus for running back as well, too, at this point. Minus 220 for taking a running back. Offensive line plus 10 to 1 for taking a running back. Minus 220 for taking a receiver. So locking in Tet McMillan, basically, for that spot. Cornerback 14 to 1. Defensive line 14 to 1. Linebacker 16 to 1. So this is another, tight end 26 to 1. So not as bad as Shedeur Sanders to the Niners. But could that be Colson Loveland as well, too? Like, if we're saying Tyler Warren, we might be better off just betting the Tyler Warren. Tet McMillan is right now, plus 125 to go to the Cowboys. Plus 490 to the Jags at number 5. Brian Thomas and Tet McMillan could be kind of insane. But do they have to draft this guy? Maybe they don't, Chad. I thought they did. Like who will draft Tyler Warren? Tyler Warren draft position? Over under 10.5. So if we go under 10.5, minus 192. Over 10.5, so him to the Cowboys is plus 136 on a little bit of a, much more safer way to play it. But is Scattaboo? Oh, this is what it was, Chad, that was making me think about that. What was I? Maybe I hadn't gotten to this point. I don't know. I'm jumping ahead. But because I was thinking maybe do they go G&T, but then again, in thinking about running backs later, Scattaboo to the Cowboys does make a little bit of sense. Scattaboo to the Bears as well, too. Kind of like Scattaboo, so could see him as like a third round, second round guy for those teams to take. Instead of same sort of running, rugged running style as well, too. Though G&T, of course, is just on a different level, chat, than the other guys when it comes to taking on the contact pause. But Atlanta, Arizona. I don't know how many other like fun teams there are to try to dissect. Denver I was looking at as a potential another one where they had tight end at 9-1. So maybe the less riskiest of the ones that we've put out here today, chat. Pause. But, no, again, shout out to Mr. Bill. But he was really wanting Kittle in free. He's like, can we trade for Kittle in the offseason? So if they do need a tight end, and again, maybe they go running back later in the draft, they want a weapon. Maybe it's not Warren at 20, but maybe Colson Loveland on the table for 20. And we should mention this as well, too. The Colts are also basically a lock to take a tight end. We're a minus 105 to take a tight end. That might have moved this afternoon since I looked at it. But, 3-1 to linebacker, 7-1 take a safety. 3-1 offensive line, 7-1 take a linebacker, plus 850 to take a safety. And 12-1 to take a corner, I think is not bad odds at all for Indianapolis. Really, we could go 27-1 here for the quarterback, or start getting into the weapons. But we did spend a lot in for the Colts, we did at least invest in the defensive backfield and try to get the secondary a little bit better. I keep saying backfield because I'm in NBA brain, but we did try to get the secondary better in free agency. We brought in Cameron Bryant, we brought in Ward, who I really, really like and can, I think, be really good players right now. But again, as much as we might need you look at the roster and go, okay, we could, a tight end could be an instant starter in this draft, and that is always, of course, another thing is maybe that's a thing you should be taking. But the Colts aren't going to be a Super Bowl team this year. We don't honestly even know if we're going to be a playoff team. We would like to think that we're going to be, and I know that Steichen, maybe for his job's sake, he's going to be trying to get there. But again, with Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, this team is probably not having that, division title is probably the aspiration. It's on the whiteboard right now for what the goals are going into the season. Win 9 games. Don't embarrass ourselves is basically what we're staring down. So I don't know if we're in a, okay, well, tight end is our most needed. Let's take our most needed position. And again, if it being a tight end, it'd be nice to have a great option for the quarterbacks to go to, again, especially with the quarterback situations that we might have. And as much as I still have faith that Richardson can turn into something, Chad, absolutely. But I say absolutely. Lock it in, Chad. Richardson, starter level quarterback going forward, no doubt at all. But, having that secondary, having that safety blanket for him would definitely be nice and a great tight end. But I also kind of think our tight end, it's not bad. You guys, everybody's had Jelani Woods off the waiver wire for a couple of weeks. You get a tight end or two on a bye. You're like, well, Jelani Woods might get 8 points, so I'll pick him up. I think we still got Mo Alley Cox. I don't know if Granson is still a free agent or if we just haven't re-signed him yet, or if he's going to be off the team, Chad. He was kind of nice as a pass catcher as well, too. But who else am I forgetting? Oh, Ogletree? You guys don't have any Alec Ogletree stock? Could be a starter. And I know it maybe is not are there tight ends in the second round? But there's that Miami tight end as well, too, that is kind of nice. That I know people have been hyping up a little bit. Where is he mocked to go right now? Let's see if we can find him right now. Well, we got Mason Taylor from LSU. 55 for 546 and 2 touchdowns. Mason Taylor sounds a little bit like a blocking tight end, to be honest, chat. Maybe that is definitely a guy that Ballard would be going for. Elijah Aroro at 71. Maybe more of a 7 touchdowns, chat, on 35 catches. The man just finds the end zone. Harold Fanning in the 3rd. So I don't know if this is a deep tight end class if you don't take one of the couple of guys. Terrence Ferguson from Oregon. Terrence Ferguson, shout out the insane dunker that got drafted by OKC that one time. So I don't know if it's the same guy trying for an NFL career now. Give him a shot. Probably not. He wouldn't be a tight end. But, I don't know what our odds are getting somebody later in the draft. I do like Mabuka in the 3rd round, though, Chad. So maybe we pass up on the defensive back a little bit earlier and just take Mabuka. Carson Schwesinger, linebacker, UCLA. Okay. We'd have to definitely do some work and watch the tape, see what we think about that guy. But, I think that defensive secondary is definitely in play. Offensive, the right side of our offensive line, I think we could still continue to get that better. And we've drafted defensive line highly over the last couple of years, but I think we could still use a real, and again, shout out, I'm using this term because I'm a fan and I just throw around words loosely, not to disrespect any of the players, but, we could still use a real, stud guy on that spot. So, Latu, I still have hope in that he can develop, and same with Kwity Paye. He's going to continue to get better every year as well, too. Those guys are awesome defensive pass rushers, but I'm just saying we could still, and not even a stud, but just depth. Like you always use depth as well too, in that area. Interior, if there's some good value, again, we'll follow along with the draft wish list, all that stuff for Thursday. But for interior guys, I don't know. Yeah, like Harmon, if he's in the mix for 14. Maybe Kenneth Grant, chat. We take Kenneth Grant at 14. But, like if Will Johnson's at 13 in this mock. If Will Johnson's on the board, I guess, well, spoiler alert, the cornerback from Michigan that was the best defensive player on the team, and him and Mason Graham, is on our wish list for Michigan, for the Colts. So, Colson Loveland as well, too. If we're going to take a tight end, obviously I'd be happy with our boy Colson Loveland. Even with the -2 rush yards on the year, chat, he was definitely one of the reliable guys that we had for pass catchers. But does feel a little, he does feel a little bit kind of like a receiver, chat, where not a negative thing, but the Colts do have really good receivers, and I get the use of a modern tight end as well, and Loveland could definitely be that. But I do think that there's value in going with some other positions on the roster as well. So I'm just saying, in terms of a betting spot as well, no disrespect to Colston Loveland, but safety at all these, 8-1, it's for 850 to 1 is plus 850 is good for safety. 10 to 1 for defensive line is good. 12 to 1 for corner is really good as well too, Chad. I think all three. I might honestly just sprinkle a little bit on all three of those, and then watch the Colts just end up taking Colston Loveland and still feel good about it, because shout out to my guy Colston Loveland. I would still love to continue to root for him as he plays in the NFL, chat. But